All right, let's do this. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another jog video. It's your boy, your man, the one and only, well, actually, one of many Jakes here again to hopefully do the first in a long line of different response videos for viewers. I apologize for the wait. About a month ago, or maybe longer than that, somebody commented on my video, where are the pro-life people after the baby is born? I was trying to point out how hypocritical it was that so many pro-lifers are so interested in, you know, getting in there and getting in this conversation and, having a say over women's bodies and their autonomy and control, and trying to, say that the baby should be born. But of course, all of those people are nowhere to be found the moment that baby is born. Well, I got a question from a viewer, and he just said, "Hey man, good luck on the channel. Hope it goes well. I do have a few questions though. You pretty clearly state you do not think life begins at conception, but offer no alternative to where you believe life begins. What is your alternative? Also, the presented fact that abortions are used to stop mothers from having to become a mother when they aren't ready relies on a clear definition of what constitutes ready. For example, 19% of abortions done last year were because the woman felt she had enough kids already. Just looking for your thoughts on this. I don't mean to attack you, so sorry if that comes that way." From Mr. Tim DeAndrea. So, I can always edit that or take that out if this person responds and sees this and doesn't want me to reference this. I'm just trying to give you credit for what's going on. I don't think I can go out there this entire time that I do make my videos and, make specific requests or specific answers to individuals. But I think, with this and just trying to really start somewhere and build with something meaningful, I think it's important to answer this. So thank you, Tim, for the comment, and sorry about the wait. This is exactly the kind of stuff I want to see. If you do see this, man, thank you for speaking up. I want to make a community here that becomes a new place for leftist discourse, open, available to everyone, a space where we can actually talk about these issues. For politics, a place where non-lefties or new lefties can ask questions, so long as those questions are considerate and understanding, asked from an open and receptive people from themselves. Experienced Marxists, especially ones from the international community, as I know for a fact the Americanism taught in Western hegemony's propaganda causes blind spots, even now for me, will also be here. I will not be good enough at relaying communist ideas to you, and I will need help from mostly non-Americans, but also experienced Marxist, communist, socialist, anarchist organizers from all over the world to really help convey what's going on. Basically, I'm just really happy to hear and see people from the outside circles speaking up, and I'm looking to build an inclusive community. Now, all that being said, I have to say my natural demeanor is not exactly polite and composed. I'm not refined or sugar-coated or even always commercially friendly. Instead, I'm a much more passionate, wild, energetic, and animated person. I believe in my views strongly, and I think that naturally leads me to stand by what I believe in confidently, to fight for them, and to even be a little on the offensive side against dissent if necessary. If I say something overly insulting or entirely unfair, there's a good chance it's not personal. I also don't always go as specific as I need to, or what seems obvious to me isn't as obvious to others, so just clarifying all that rambling will be on the table as always, but let's get on to the prompt. I was asked to provide an answer to the question where life begins and offer an alternative perspective. Now, the life of any individual can be traditionally defined in many ways. Society and its history have determined life based on age. In the past, for example, an adult is a person born of age of almost 2 decades, right? We got 18-year-olds in the United States are legally, when they turn 18, they become, they're able to vote. You have, sometimes I think other European countries have like the age of 16 where they start school, they can start drinking, stuff like that, right? And then, sometimes you also have where people consider 20 or 21 to be an adult, maybe not until 25, right, when the brain stops developing. A teenager is just a kid going into adulthood, right, for the first few stages. The teen is a reference to the whole, starting out from 12 to 13, and then that's when the teen years start. See, life is a transition, it's a journey, and we see that understanding as we all age, as we all look to each other and at each other with different perspectives. And there isn't really this concrete thing. It's just more of a generalized categorization of all these different chapters in one's development that assign these kinds of, this is an adult, this is a child, this is an infant. And all of those characteristics have meaning and value, But when we talk about something like, in this abortion discussion, life is based on the stage of pregnancy, right? And it breaks down to these fetal stages. And I wanted to read off this is from a specific government website that I'll provide the link for, and you'll be able to see, and it officiates and everything in here, not just like what the gestation age or stages are. I mean, I don't even know that much about this stuff. What the role of genetics. It gives you information about how you can get an ultrasound, right? It's just supposed to be an informational document. So they have the kind of dissection here of all the different trimesters. And as you can see, I'll read it off to you and put it on screen. 0 to 2 weeks from conception, right? 3 to 4 weeks after the last menstrual period. The egg is released from the ovary. It's fertilized in the fallopian tube by the sperm. The fertilized egg starts to divide and form balls of cells. You all know this stuff, kind of. But it begins to form in layers and fluid spaces, right? The earliest part of the afterbirth begins to form. And at this point in the growth, the ball of cells is called an embryo. So it grows about a certain size. And as you look to the next stage, right, a tomb forms along the embryo's length. This will grow into the brain and spinal cord. And this is only 3 to 4 weeks after conception. Simple structures form on the side of the head. The embryo grows to a very, very small size, 1/4 of an inch. All right, this is 3 to 4 weeks after conception, and it's not even half an inch size. Then 5 to 6 weeks after conception, about half of the embryo's length is the head due to the rapid growth of the brain. The head starts to form to the normal formal chambers. You can see all these developments are broken down into basically parts of the embryo that develop over time, right? If you take a look at the 78 weeks after conception, even then, right, we've got the fingers on the hands, the toes are almost formed. There are eyelids over the eyes, but they cannot open yet. Nipples can be seen, the first hair buds form, muscles begin to form. Now, this says the intestines grow rapidly, and I just want to say, as a former embryo and as a current IBS haver, the intestines did not grow rapidly, ladies and gentlemen, and people who don't identify with those two identities. There was no just yeah. Not all intestines grow. It's just So, anyways, then it moves on to 9 to 10 weeks after conception. At this point, the main body parts are formed and present, LOL. The embryo is now called a fetus, right? So this is when we start entering this discussion. Growth becomes most important. The ears move up to their normal position, fetal movements, and heartbeat can be seen on ultrasound, right? So this is 9 to 10 weeks after conception. That's when a heartbeat can be heard, right? I mean, if we look down farther into the document, the brain isn't really developed fully until the heartbeat can be heard with a stethoscope. That's 21 to 22 weeks. I mean, I just expected these things to grow a lot faster than before, but it seems that it actually takes quite a long time for, even the smallest of things to be added. And now, you never see this discussion, right? Like, oh, the baby's eyes are open, right? So that must mean it's, this is when life begins, or its eyes are developing, or it got its first, it's had its first cell mitosis, or no, these would be actually healthy, rational metrics to determine the stages of a fetus, of an embryo. But instead, as it further shows the kind of bankruptcy in this discussion, there's not a real interest in dissecting and understanding what's going on in embryonic stages. It's just seen, it's a baby in a womb and it dies, so big bad, right? So as we can see, life developing definitively at conception, at insert X here, stage pregnancy, at age Y in your point in life, is more of a fluid thing, right? It's more of a spectrum of experience. It's a long projection or trajectory of development. There's no... If the only people who have to say when life begins are the people who believe in souls, people who believe in things that can't be, that you haven't proven this thing exists. When you analyze reality off of material conditions, you don't have to provide those arguments. There's no argument to be made that's incumbent upon you, because we're just looking at what we're looking at its microscope, we're looking at the data, and that's all there is to it. Interestingly, the same pursuit to humanize infants, even at the tiniest cellular level, we cannot see in our own prejudice towards others based on economic status. Homeless people, rich elite, middle class, lower class, which is made up thing for the video for another day. We very much determine the stage of life, the quality of life, whether or not a person deserves to sleep or eat based on those designations. And is it really possible for when you're afterborn to accumulate so much that you don't deserve food or a place to sleep, or on the other hand that you're so exceptional you deserve special treatment, you hover above the rest? I mean, this is what we believe. This is how we act and talk to each other, and so it's no surprise to me that our designations about what's going on in pregnancy are completely off. In my opinion, where life begins is an arbitrary point. Where life begins or ends is kind of a misleading line to draw. The Christian moral pursuit in this side of discussion has misunderstood the position. Abortion is inherently a life-terminating procedure, regardless of the stage of the embryo. But when a woman miscarries, we have the intelligence and empathy to understand it's not their fault. They couldn't control the situation. A miscarriage requires more understanding than that. When a woman exercises their right to terminate their pregnancy, pro-lifers believe an inhuman, unjust act has committed, but understand either subconsciously or overtly that a miscarriage is a tragic, unfortunate, but also natural and common occurrence. I'm arguing an abortion is simply a planned miscarriage, and we never ask or pester women why they don't take care of themselves better during the miscarriage, that we don't shame them for some perceived failure on their end. And in fact, we recognize how rude and horrible it is to be so lacking that understanding. This same standard can be applied to abortion. We just think the situation is different because a degree of medical control is exercised. While abortion shouldn't be some kind of actively sought out medical procedure to occur, there are very much a natural occurrence in both medicine and the unfortunate moments, miscarriages in life. Great, good women have had abortions and advocated for abortions. Great mothers and caretakers, teachers and matrons, the best of us, the best of women. So many have had ethical abortions where they too were confronted with this moral question. There is this dissenter's point of view that these women aren't already battling their own instincts, their own feelings about this situation. Well, of course, I can't speak for women, and I would argue many of them, maybe it doesn't affect them, but I would certainly posit these to-be mothers already endure the pain of what the outsiders and the public seem to believe is not only important to push, but also requiring state intervention to annihilate any safe, healthy, standardized, medicinal, abortive, or contraceptive procedures. Resources once used to actually help start families in a good, planned, healthy, stable, strong environment have been taken away in the name, of course, of protecting the children. And to deny a world where those already present feelings exist, to have those feelings of guilt present, mandates us as a culture and people to be far more open to the possibilities. Why a person would need to exercise that action, it's, not very clear to me. More often than not, the material conditions of the situation don't require this act. Now, on to the second part of your question about defining when a mother is ready. I disagree that the clear definition of what defines ready is relevant here. The decision is up to the mother, so the basic definition here is a woman isn't ready until she chooses or believes she is. That's it. Denying a mother the control for the child they feel prepared for a child they want and desire, for a child she's excited to bring into the world. This is not good for the child or mother's health if the mother doesn't want it. It's very difficult to give a child a meaningful, good life if the mother doesn't truly want the child. Acknowledging I don't know a woman's struggles or what it means or feels like to be a mother or parent, there is a likelihood, I would argue, that she will be placed into an existence of dissonance or resentment if her control and decision to have the child isn't entirely within her choice and autonomy. One of the biggest reasons women do, in fact, feel they aren't ready is because we do not have the societal standards, the resources, or even the space to allow these women, all of these mothers, the full ability to ask for help, to seek community, to support, to join together and raise a child with our fellow humans. So when we question if women are really ready or not, if women need to be pushed or something into actually having a kid, not only are we missing the point, but I think we're actually revealing a more important and less seen part of each other, which is that we, as a society, are we ready to have these kids? If we can't even give mother the space and time and support and care and resources and protection and security and all that fun stuff to have the children the right way, who are we to say when we can control their best judgment, that when they know better and they can step in to say, I cannot do this, this is not good, this will not be good for us. When you hear or see women or feminists make these arguments, give it a second thought. Without at all shaming your values or position, I hope the ideas I'm conveying are some iteration of Cogent. I looked up this 19% statistic, and I had a real hard time finding it. I checked different Google searches, I took a look at the Pew Research stats and other websites, and I couldn't find anything. If there's a way for you to share that info with me so I can take a better look at the data, I'd appreciate it. Excuse me. But I'd also argue that stat doesn't matter. I think it's a subconscious or accidental deflection point. And I say that because why isn't a mother's discomfort of childbearing enough justification for abortion? Why should we force childbirth onto infants whose own mother isn't truly wanting of it, putting an existence into disarray because we thought we knew better? And lastly, I'd like to kind of reemphasize that there's no easy solution to this issue. There's no point to combat the other side with a kind of gotcha point, but I have some ideas to help fix things. Children beginning around a certain age group can receive degrees of sexual education. The information would be supervised, put into bits and pieces, dissolvable and not overtly informative or revelatory at the appropriate age sets, but nonetheless would help serve and function as a way of developing a more mature populace. Like, 9-year-olds don't need to know about, like, orgasms or some shit, right? I mean, there's a line there, but you can't keep leaving them in the dark forever. Developing an educated and informed and mature culture might be possible through a pretty heavily regulated education. If this point is too controversial, that's fine, but we need to get realistic about the world we've built, the dangers children face, how we can help them understand without hindering them. And starting around 12 or 13, which may be too early for some of you, it's literally too late for others, for many victims of child exploitation, trafficking, and other despicable crimes, there is no such thing as too late. But we don't need to expand just there. College and high school information resources for parenthood and other concerns. Certain governmental facilities, hospitals, all funded for resources, information, scanning, testing, and other needs. A more rigorous orphanage system, fully rehabilitating foster care and developing a new, versatile, communal, and free place for children to thrive. Newly developed and comprehensive child care, covering every single need of the child from dental to eye to even the actual childbirth, paid maternity and paternity leave, at least for 6 months, perhaps up to 2 years, maybe even longer, if we can afford it, with an aim of continuous subsidized support. These are just a couple of ideas, right? If you find yourself disagreeing with my advocacy to help parents, if you find yourself saying this is too much or I'm going too far, if you really think what I'm saying above is some far-fetched idea we can't achieve, then what the hell does that say about you? This isn't a question if we can do it. It's a question if we're grown enough to know better and therefore do better. I wasn't able to answer everything in the way I would have hoped, and I think I'll try to make more follow-up content if necessary, just to help really nail home what, all of these points and ideas, and try to improve and deliver my points and arguments better. But, if you made it this far in the video, thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. I can't guarantee that I'll give more to, in response to this specific viewer. I might be able to, but I'm aiming for a decent package of ideas to send you right here. And again, as I mentioned, hopefully I can do some of that stuff down the line even more. So thanks again for watching. See you in the next one. Take care, comrades. I'll provide the sources in the description. And I hope everybody's well. Take it easy. Thanks again. And peace and love.